Hello, and thank you for purchasing Bachmann's exciting rendition of an authentic 460 narrow gauge locomotive. You know, real railroads knew the importance of good locomotive care and maintenance. That's why they built roundhouses such as this one to aid in servicing their iron horses. Even rugged iron and steel machines like these required regular lubrication and cleaning. Without locomotives, the trains couldn't run, so the railroads treated their motive power with tender, loving care. And likewise, with proper care and attention, your new Bachmann 460 will give you a lifetime of service and pleasure.
This locomotive celebrates the continuing evolution of Bachmann products since our entry into the large-scale model train market in 1988. It's quite amazing when you realize that we've gone from this to this in such a short period of time.
This 460 model will take its rightful place next to Bachmann's other legendary narrow-gauge locomotive models, such as the 36-ton Shea, 25-ton Climax, 440 American, 260 Mogul, and outside frame 280 Consolidation.
The Bachmann 460 is a precision scale model with many of the same features and details found on the prototype, including either Stevenson or Walschaerts valve gear, depending on the prototype railroad being modeled. Other features include complete backhead detail, featuring steam gauge with piping, throttle, fittings and firebox door, brass pop valves and whistle, bell with metal clapper, metal handrails and piping. The Bachmann 460 locomotive also features an LED headlight and an operating smoke unit with on-off switch, and a basic sound system with volume control that will give you an authentic chuff when you run your locomotive. A close look around the locomotive will reveal lots of additional details, including sand lines, piping, end beam with nuts, bolts, and washers, chemically blackened machined metal wheels, and detailed tender trucks. We spent thousands of hours working from drawings and pictures of actual locomotives to painstakingly reproduce a wealth of detail. The result is one of the most realistic models on the market today. The 460 is powered by a precision 5-pole can motor, coupled to our 6th-generation heavy-duty driveline and gearbox, and a first for large-scale model railroading. The Bachmann 460 includes a polarity switch. This additional feature will give you the flexibility of choosing either the NMRA/NEM polarity standard or the polarity used by other large-scale manufacturers.
Did you know that the 460 locomotive type was often called a 10-wheeler? The name comes from adding the number of lead wheels, 4, to the number of driving wheels, 6, for a total of 10. Now let's take a look at the role of the 460 in American railroading, and along the way we'll find out a little more about prototype locomotives.
In the 1830s and 40s, the fledgling railroads in the United States began to build westward to tap the vast resources of the American frontier. These early efforts at expansion soon ran up against the imposing slopes and deep river valleys of the Appalachian mountain range. The steep track grades and twisting roadbeds necessary to cross these formidable barriers heavily taxed the railroad's small motive power. To meet the need for more tractive effort, the locomotive builders of the day began to design and construct larger and heavier iron horses. This in turn led to the use of lead trucks and more driving wheels on locomotives so as to spread the heavier locomotive weights more evenly over the lightly built rights-of-way. Lightweight 420 and 040 locomotives were quickly replaced by 440, 260, and 080 engines. In the 1850s, the first 460 locomotives began to appear. The railroads quickly found them ideally suited for both freight and passenger service. The design quickly proved to be very successful and was soon copied by other railroads across the country. In fact, the 460, along with the 280, became one of the most popular locomotive designs of all time. Over a 70-year period, thousands of them were constructed by almost every variety of shapes, sizes, and were used in all types of service: freight, switching, industrial hauling, and of course, passenger trains. Like consolidations, 460s were the go-anywhere, do-anything, maids-of-all-work, workhorses of the railroad industry. They were used around the world on standard gauge, narrow gauge, and even broad gauge railways. Bachmann's 460 is a model of a Baldwin Locomotive Works design that ran on the Eastern Tennessee and Western North Carolina railroads from 1911 until the cessation of operations shortly after World War II. The ET and WNC, or Tweetsie as she came to be affectionately called, rostered 6 of these powerful little locomotives, and they performed freight, passenger, and switching services over their lengthy careers. The Tweetsie 10-wheelers were fairly modern locomotives by narrow gauge standards. Showing prototype history as an example, Bachmann is making available some 460 models with older style domes, Stephenson valve gear, and wooden cabs. There's a model to suit everyone's taste.
Your Bachmann 460 is a precision-made, full-scale model and can provide you with a lifetime of fun and enjoyment if it is well lubricated and maintained. So come with me, and I'll show you how to take care of your new locomotive. It is important that you follow the recommended procedures for lubricating your Spectrum 460 on a periodic basis. Just like an automobile, your locomotive shouldn't be run without oil. Failure to use adequate lubrication on your locomotive could result in a mechanical failure, so please watch and listen carefully. We suggest that you watch the video all the way through first before performing any lubrication. Then, when you have everything prepared, perform the lubrication along with the video instructions. This way you'll be sure not to miss any important parts along the way. Bachmann has designed the 460 to be easily maintained. First, get all of the items you need to perform the lubrication. Find a large, sturdy work surface to hold your 460. A sturdy table or a workbench will do very well. You can use a thick towel or the top foam insert from the 460 packaging to act as a cushion for the locomotive. You will also need a toothpick or a thin wooden dowel and the necessary lubricants. We recommend using Bachmann Easy Lube Space Age plastic-compatible lubricants available at your local hobby retailer, but other plastic-compatible lubricants can be used as well. With your towel or foam on the work surface, gently lay the locomotive and tender on its side, or if using the foam insert, upside down. We will be lubricating these areas: the gearbox area, the driving wheel axles, the lead truck, and the Walschaerts valve gear on both sides of the boiler. We will also apply conductive lubricant on each driving wheel and lead truck wheel to enhance electrical contact. It's also important to know before you start that over-lubrication is more damaging to any locomotive than no lubrication at all. So easy does it. A little goes a long way. To begin, remove the lubrication plug on the bottom of the frame for easy access. Now take your Bachmann Easy Lube heavy-duty gear oil and place 1 or 2 drops on the motor drive shaft. Next, put a drop or 2 of heavy-duty plastic-compatible gear oil on the bearings where each drive axle passes through the locomotive frame. Moving on to the lead truck, add a drop or 2 of oil to each bearing surface where the wheel axle passes through the truck frame. And be sure not to forget the lead truck pivot point where it attaches to the locomotive frame just in front of the lead driver. This will help it move easily in either direction. Finally, put a drop of oil on the end of each axle on the tender truck wheel sets. Remember, all of the 460's locomotive parts and lubrication points can be seen in the exploded view diagrams included in the instruction manual. For the next segment, we will be using Bachmann's Easy Lube heavy-duty gear grease. This lubricant won't sling off or dissipate at high running temperatures. The best method to apply this material is by using a thin wooden applicator such as a toothpick or a dowel. Place a small amount of grease into the gearbox through the lubrication port and onto the main gear. Double check that you have lubricated all of the required parts before going on to apply the conductive lubricant. Bachmann Easy Lube Conductive Contact Lubricant enhances electrical conductivity and will decrease the amp draw of your 460 locomotive. Just put one drop on each drive wheel axle where it passes through the frame and on each driving wheel tread. Also put a drop on each lead truck wheel tread. As a side note, you should perform this electrical conductive maintenance every 5 to 6 hours of operation or as needed. When operating outdoors, under high temperatures and other environmental conditions, there is a lot of friction, wear, and evaporation. Friction is metal's worst enemy, so be sure to follow a sensible lubrication schedule. Now bring the locomotive and tender to an upright position and lubricate all bearing surfaces on the valve rod, piston rod, valve guides, Walschaerts valve gear, and crank pins with a small drop of oil. Don't forget to do both sides of the locomotive, and remember, do not over-lubricate. Now your 460 locomotive is ready for track testing and many years of pleasant enjoyment. We at Bachmann recommend that you break in your engine by running it with a light load at slow to medium speeds, checking to see that everything on the locomotive is operating properly. This is the way prototype locomotives were brought into service. Don't forget to fill out your warranty card and send it in as soon as possible. And remember, the key to maintaining your 460 locomotive for long life is to keep all the parts well lubricated. But too much lubrication is just as bad as no lubrication at all. Enjoy your Bachmann 460 locomotive, and be sure to check out the entire line of Bachmann large-scale trains at your local hobby retailer.